kakskitwan chitashindaman pangingatabacham aki waninen dishnekas sabing utap neksabin dudem makwandinawen ma gabe mete ugi mas kaubewes menaway ganing oma mi umashigonda ya uma rozo gaisin katamoat skonegan mi mandan ki gene sigo ma singya ya mi gum sans ke wawene nemenendam umaga na batapian awe medewe gan mi awe bibuning uma mamu biang awe ma bi indik Bigum sanske gazaga nashim biwa kinagin sitanga gonenega tashindaman. I was born in on a reserve called Dog Creek, Missyabit. I used to go fishing the canton. They call it Manitou Ba Saiganing, Lake Manitoba. That's what they call it now. I was born, I think, at a magical time. I always refer to it because we were still living off the land at that time. We were trapping, fishing, everything, picking frogs, picking snakes, digging seneca root, picking our own berries, and hunting. To me, that was a magical time with my dad and my brothers, but also other people from the community. And I always put my thoughts there in times because I think that was the most freeing time in my life. I didn't have worries about what was going on out there, and that, it was a good time. That just being on the earth, it was a beautiful time. That we always gardened, we always had our own food. I never remember being hungry. Being hungry when I was a kid, our relatives shed a deer, a muskus, the elk, moose, wabus, the rabbits, biniyok, the chickens, anduking, wak, kinuje, ogao, the pickerel, the jackfish. All those things were there for us. And, when I was younger and I always remember food on the stove, on the wood stove, eh? And when we were kids, like hauling wood, hauling water, and all those things, it was like, today we call it work. But my dad always said, it's not work. He said, you're living the life that you were given. In order for us to be a part of this and to be comfortable, this is what you got to do. Nowadays, it's like people say, I don't get paid to do that. And it was different back then. Our neighbors, everybody helped each other. I don't remember having locks on doors, not like the way they do today, and sure there was problems in the community with alcohol and stuff like that, but no drugs. I don't remember drugs being a problem when I was younger. And it developed, I think, in me as when I was young, this desire to work. And I never referred to it work. It was making a living. and so it was a happy time, that spent hours out in the bush. We lived right along the lake, and I still remember the trees along the lake. Me and my brothers and sisters, like, we could run for miles down the lake, running from tree to tree without ever touching the ground. I can remember me and my brother Ron. We used to go soon as we got home. We used to go, let's go chicken hunting. Take the 22, and holy man, it was like sometimes we had to take the laces out of my runners and just to tie the chickens together, and I'd be carrying them all because Ron was the shooter. I'd come back with 30, 40 chickens. It was just like, wow. And I think my most fondest memory is the trapping muskrats, trapping mink, lynx, snaring coyotes, and all those different things. That it was like heaven on earth to me. That it was such a beautiful time. And but when I was younger too, one of the things that I noticed was this negative encroachment from civilized society. That I didn't like it. And when I was younger, going to day school on the reserve, I could never understand what it is that they were saying to us. It never made sense to me, even as a young kid. It never. So I was never comfortable with what they said, and then what they were saying about us. And so I was never in line with that thought. And I think I fought a good fight. Chigananda manjan shnabemwan. Kangi nonde bagit nazin na jan shnabemwan. Pushke igizi bigana on the duna that this soap ho gya tuna kurma. Na ganskat so ata yan shnabemwan. Ay kungi nenda mano. Kangi benet sintin skatis yan. Agis kiotis yan. And I didn't like to be mad when I was younger, but I guess at that age it was hard to sort out or to determine what was going on, the change that was coming, and how wrong that so-called civilization was in their relationship with us. Because the relationship that we had with the earth and in our community and with each other was good. It was good. It was like we didn't rely on anybody, Like we relied on each other. And oh man, were we rich. We were rich. We were rich beyond anything that you could think of. Now today, rich is described by how much money and when you can retire, and you own a house, and what kind of car you drive or vehicle you drive. That's when you think about family, your children, grandchildren. That there's no monetary value with the gifts that we have there. And I came to be a part of this lodge that I'm a part of now. I'm been way gone. Only 30 years ago. You know, I used to go check out sun dances and different ceremonies and that. But when I found this place, you know, my teacher Charlie Nelson, when I first went with him to this lodge, I still remember this as if it only happened yesterday when he stood me up in that lodge. He said, "We have a visitor today, but I want our visitor to know that you're only a visitor once. You're home now. You're home now." And I never looked back. I never looked back. You know, and we moved to the city when at a young age. And that took so much away from me. That took so much away from me. You know, that for one thing, the city stunk like it. And, you know, that I found it a very unwelcoming place. Because I knew where my belly button was. And it was always connected to the earth, being out in the bush and, you know, on the lakes and creeks and, you know, setting up rabbit snares and fishing and hunting and trapping, you know, picking berries and, you know, all that stuff. And even I remember as a kid that we would travel and go pick monomen, wild rice. You know, and it was just like a big dark cloud moving to the city, and I had a hard time there, and I got lost there. Like you know, and a lot of it was not being able to channel my anger. My frustration, my hurt, and I guess from being disconnected from the earth, from being in the bush, of having that freedom and having to learn what life was like on concrete. And I think that was the most negative part of my life. And getting mixed up in alcohol, drugs at an early age, and you know, like that was totally lost. But somehow, always, I had this knowing in the back of my mind that you know, this ain't us. This ain't me. You know, and so I ended up running around the streets in Winnipeg at a very young age, and I had to figure that out. You know, that I became involved with a group of people, us guys on the street, that we became involved with this lady, Sister Geraldine McNamara. Her name was, in 1975. And we started a program in the city called Rosbrook House. We were all 14, 15, 16 years old. And so we started working there. I remember John Rogers from the old Main Street Project. He was the director then. Mary Richard was the director of Indian Métis Friendship Center. And then there were the two programs that lent us what they were called, I think they were called slip grants. And the very first time that we got paid to work at Rosbrook House, it was an old church building on the corner of Ross and Sherbrooke, And And basically it was designed and built, and the rules were put in place by us. And it was for all our other relatives on the streets, the kids, because we were just kids ourselves. I mean, we lived there, you know, and our first concept, our first idea was 24/7. We never closed our doors. And we came to one goal, that no kid should ever have to be alone if they didn't want to be, that they had a safe place. And we were just kids, you know, and that's where our thinking was. That's what we were thinking about, and you know. And I remember, you know, what was her name? Betty Schwartz was the director of Children's Aid Society, you know, and B.M. Stewart was the chief of police. You know, they had their doubts with us. They didn't believe in what we were doing, eh? It's like, we'll give you guys 2 weeks. We'll give you a benefit of the doubt. We'll give you 3 weeks. You know, and you know, I was there for almost 25 years. I was there. That's where I grew up. You know, in that time of like my own traditions about who I am. You know, there was a lady, Vera Martin, I had good connections with. I remember the Indian club, native club on River. You know, Clarence and Barbara Nepanak, you know, they were, when I was young, like they were contacts in my life. You know, and but we went on, you know, as kids that we were basically kids looking after kids. And in the time that I was at Rossbrook, that's always been a goal there of mine. But even part of my own healing was coming back to understand and to learn about who I am. Because the violence, the disrespect about who I am as an Anishinaabe people was all a lie. You know, right from the church down to how you interacted with society, eh? That it was all a negative experience. And the alcohol, the drugs, it was all a cover-up. But it is through the revelation and the understanding of recognizing who you are and embracing that truth of who Anishinaabe is. You know, there was a time when I thought I knew everything. I had all the answers, you know. Then finally one day I grew up. Then I realized on how much I didn't know. And it was when I started realizing the true value of Kendaswan, that knowledge. And that tobacco is what I always refer to it as Kendaswan, that knowledge, because it is the one that leads. For all the questions you have in life, you seek those answers are there. Because that, you know, that I hear so often, I lost my language. We lost our culture. You were blinded to it, and it wasn't of your doing. We were separated from it. Kain we ka man itu gianim kagawa isine. The Spirit never turned its back on His children. That was never intended that never happened. It was we that turned our back in thinking that being civilized was being the answer to us, eh? But when I think of how long I have stood here and I walked, and even in the work that I'm involved with in the community, and even at that young age in the beginning of Rossbrook, I truly believe our kids need to be home. That our kids do not need to go through what it is that they're going through. And that we have to work and walk with our kids. Eh? And I mean walk with them, and that's not telling them what to do and how to do things and bossing them around. One of the gifts that we were given in Andaman, eh? Free will. And in that whole process of growing up or maturing, there's a time you went through life where, oh, this is power. And then when I grew up, I realized this wasn't power, this was menatasiwan. Kindness. Kindness. So to me, when I look at things today, when I look at our people, and especially our children and the women, that this is what I want to own me, to own my spirit, my heart, my mind, is this kindness. Menatasiwan. That's what I want. And that some of the work that I do here is I work for DOCFS over here. I started out there as a driver, but I always loved being in the bush. So I always went hunting. I always went fishing. That's what I do. I go pick berries, and I like going to pick medicines. So I started bringing some of the kids along with me from the community, some of the people. And now we got to a point to where the guys that I walk with, that walk beside me in doing this, is like we have hunting camps now. And we have ice fishing camps. And, we pick medicines. We pick berries, go out there and pick berries. And, we teach the kids how to set rabbit snares. And we talk about that relationship, our original treaty with creation, and understanding out of that relationship that we have with creation. One of the things that the Spirit asked, the very first parental question ever that resounded on this earth. And when the Spirit asked creation, how are my children going to live here when I place them here? Each and every part of this creation stood up and spoke for us, eh? They told the Spirit what they would do for their children. Hufklan, Washkeshe, that deer, he stood up. And he said to the Creator, Ning gatashkin ngakinamogani janis aninji shitashkin ang obimatisan. Ngaminan ebimatisan, just shandazat, just weapon at this. Yeah. He said, I will give my life to your children so that they can nourish themselves, they can clothe themselves. Eh? Even mitigonabe, the trees, everything here was placed here in order for the children of the Spirit can live here and they can survive here. So all of that in relationship with who we are. We are who we are, that is determined by the earth, our mother, eh? And it's all based on this. You know, and one of the things I talk to the kids about when we're out in the bush, when we're setting rabbit snares, when we're hunting deer, you know, when we take that life, I said, you know what? You're witnessing the ultimate sacrifice of kindness. Those rabbits, you know, they're so kind, they give up their life for us. So we can have good soup, you know, we can have good food. And it's the same way. It's not just the animals. It's the birds too. It's the fish. It's the plant life. All those medicines that we get there, but not only that, the berries, the roots and that we can eat, the teas that we can pick, those medicines, eh? So we tell them, it's about this, eh? It's about this, kindness, 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 kindness. Those are the real treasures of being an Anishinaabe. And learning that. You know, I always say I am not a teacher. I am not a singer. I am a Shkaubewis. And if we understand what that word means, Shkaubewis, what it is you are a servant to your relatives. That's what it is. You're a servant to your relatives. That whatever it is that you have, or whatever it is that you can do for them, to begin to recognize the gift of who they are as an Anishinaabe, you know? And to be able to look at this road, and look where that road, and look at where it is that you come from. How is it that we came to be? How is it that in our creation story talks about that relationship we have with each other as the earth? You know? And, you know, and in there is our true story. You know, we don't have myths. We don't have legends. We have our truth. Eh? We have our truth. And it's as simple as that. And the sooner that you can recognize what your truth is, that truth will shield you. It'll protect you. Because then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks of you, says about you. Eh? If you have your truth. You know? Like in our lodge, it doesn't stop you or protect you from being hurt emotionally, or, you know, doesn't protect you. It's no big shield, but it gives you a way to grieve. It gives you a way to heal. It gives you the opportunity to lighten your heart. And that's the truth about being an Anishinaabe, that we still have a long ways to go. We came from far, and yet we still got to go far ahead. But the answer is in our kids, eh? The kids. And that we create and build up strong kids in knowing their truth, knowing and understanding their relationship with this earth. You can't go wrong. As I was saying, like with the kids, that is the answer. And I think to a lot of the things with what's going on, I truly believe that the true healing is going to come in our relationship with the earth. You know, and You know, when I was at Rossbrook, I got my official paper, I guess, in 76, when Rossbrook became incorporated. Yeah, you know that I still remember my first paycheck, 116.47 for 2 weeks of work, and I was like, wow, and that was the start, and I stood there for a long time. Like even at Rossbrook, when I was that young, that we became youth activists inside the city, you know, with talking against criminal justice system, the way the police treated us, Anishinaabe kids, you know, that, you know, when we were kids, it wasn't uncommon for the cops to be picking us up and beating us up, you know. That was the relationship, and that became the norm, you know, that, yeah, well, this is civilization, eh? And I used to think, wow. You know, that one of the things at Rossbrook House was that there was no religion, all the rules and how we came together as kids was developed by us, our own minds, the voice of young people. You know, like even that our program there, you know, there was lots of cracks for the kids falling through the cracks in the education system. You know, and so we started in negotiation with the education system that we would start our own school right outside Rossbrook. And that was a junior high school, and it was a satellite offshoot of Hugh John MacDonald, you know, and the kids that we targeted always were the ones that they labeled unteachable. They were totally antisocial, and those were the ones that were targeted for there, that couldn't function in a regular school kind of atmosphere. So we started with that. And then a lot of the kids were talking about, you know, that and talking with each other, it was like, you know, my mom wishes that she could help me with math, but she doesn't. She's doesn't have an education either. Okay? And so we developed a high school program in partnership with R.B. Russell. So that so then that came about. And then even listening to the kids, it was like, what about us? The younger ones were saying. We used to call them the rugrats or the ankle biters. And so it was like, okay. So then through working with Victoria Albert, I think the school was called, and so it was in partnership with them that we had an elementary school. But even listening to the kids at that time, you know, that oh, my mom and dad wishes they could help me with my schoolwork. So what we started was an adult learning program. And the idea of the schools back then was that, well, you only got this much time to learn all this. Because life is not lived out of a book that the kids could take their time to achieve whatever. If it took them a year and a half, 2 years, then that's what it took. That's what it took. Even the adult learning that we had, it was based on the amount of time that they could put into it. And the length of time didn't matter. Okay? That it was geared to the lifestyle of whatever the people were going through and living. It's like such stuff could go on in the family, and then it was like all of a sudden you don't see the mom or the kids for a week or something. But eventually they came back, you know. So it wasn't the time concept wasn't a big thing with us, with the programs that we developed. You know, and you know, then even when I was at a younger age, when I was sat on the first board of Mamaway, and that whole concept of you know, like I spoke at the I don't know what they called them, about the 60 scoop and all that, and when they dissolved Children's Aid Society and put in all these different branches and areas, you know, I was there for that, the dismantling of the Children's Aid Society. And you know, that and then it was like, well, we don't have one for Anishinaabe people. So it was like, then we started to gather. And when we came up with the name Mama Wijidita, like, you know, that, well, let's all work together. You know, like even then there was a division in the community. They wanted us to have a mandate to remove kids from families. But one of the arguments was, if we're supposed to be a family service, a Native family service agency, why would we need to have the powers of removing children when we say we want to build up our families, keep our families together? So why would you need a mandate to remove kids, eh? And so that's where Mamaway started growing from, you know. And we were on Notre Dame and Isabel. There was that jeweler place in that building next there. That's where we started from, you know. And so it was a long process of doing that. I was involved in that for a couple of years. But that thing took off, eh? And look at it today, and what it does, and holding up the people, especially the young people, the supports that it has. You know, and like even Rossbrook, still there, you know, still standing strong. And some of the guys that we started with are still there. A couple of us got beat up on the streets one night. And we said, we need a place, you know, and so it began with that, you know, the violence on the streets back then. We had no place to congregate, we had no place to meet. It was just on the streets. And with the help of Sister Jerry, it was like one of the guys that we hung around with, she found them passed out on their back stairs, eh? And I think Geraldine McNamara was articling with legal aid at that time already. And then I guess she met with her other housemates or whatever, the other nuns she lived with. So we got to do something. And that the guy started to hang around at the nun's house there, and I was always skeptical, and I had no trust or anything with nuns, eh? And I came around a couple of times, and and I just kept my distance, And one time, Geraldine McNamara asked me, she said, "What's your reluctance?" I said, "I don't like you guys. I don't trust you guys. Everything's about Jesus." And I said, "It's all bullshit." And then she said, "Oh, well, okay." And like one of the things was that the agreement was that it wasn't no mission. Rosbrook House wasn't a mission. That with her help and that we would secure the place. She got that place donated to us, and we opened the doors. Like when we opened the doors, we didn't even have money for any kind of budget at all. The first budget that we had was we took all the pews out of that church and we sold them. That was the first money we ever had. And it was just step at a time, figure it out as we go along, develop the rules and the ideology of what Rosbrook is. And it was always based on the needs of kids. And that one time when I got beat up, I was laying there, I couldn't move, I was just like in pain. And then it hit me, it hit me when I was laying there in the back lane. I said, "Holy heck, I'm only a kid. I shouldn't be going through this." And then I started thinking about it. I said, I'm going through this because of one thing. I said, I am an Anishinaabe. That is why I'm being treated like this. And then so from then on, it was like, I said, we shouldn't have to go through this as kids. It's not right. In this so-called civilized society that's so rich and brags all over the world about how just they are. And I said, being a kid on the street, it was all bull. You didn't see any of that. You didn't feel any of that. And so I said, well, let's do something. Me and my buddies. We even started a baseball team when we were kids at, used to be a little park there on Elgin and Kate. It's called Roosevelt Park. And so we started our own baseball team with all of us guys. We called ourselves the Roosevelt Rockers. We even had black T-shirts with gold lettering on them. We could have kicked any team in that city, but we didn't qualify, because we were not a community center, a recognized community center. So, and that was Barb Dewick and that, and a couple other people, I forget her husband's name. We started the Freight House. The Freight House, which is the central community center now, and not out of our whatever interaction with people and that's how the Freight House came to be. It was our involvement, as kids. And when I think about it, us kids, boy, we generated a lot of things inside that inner city that we will never be recognized for. This society will never see. Those kids were the catalysts of this growth here. eh? And I say, Manu, doesn't matter. We did it anyway. We did it anyway. You know, us little savages on the street, you know, we made our voice heard. We stood there. We stood there. You know, as imperfect as we were, we got things moving. We got things put in place there for young people. You know, and I think we accomplished a lot. And it was all out of the desire that kids shouldn't have to go through what it is that they're going through. Okay? It's all wrong. All wrong, you know, and I think that they are the answer of our future. Look at you guys. You guys are our answer for the future. For all the battle scars and things that I went through, then I see you guys, you young guys, picking up this work. I look at the kids inside this lodge and the work and the things that they're picking up. You guys are way ahead of us. You guys are way ahead of us. You know, as I get older, I'm losing energy, you know, dealing with, you know, it's like I lost a leg, eh? It's like this spring, but I'm not handicapped. I still do my work in this lodge. I'm still out there camping and hunting. Pretty soon I'm going to have my foot and I'm going to be out there ice fishing. I'm going to be out there crawling around this coming spring and summer, picking my berries, picking my medicines. You know, to me that's as good as it gets, this life. And I'm going to walk with people. I don't believe in leading. I believe in walking with people. And the language, boy, bigo jin sit tamwat, ani jija nishnaba jin sit tamwat eh. Mi ma aga kenda wa anija pichu nishinka debu emun, eh? On how beautiful your truth is about who you are. And you'll just realize just how kind and beautiful Anishinaabe are. That we have to fight that this image that this society has about us, this lie. Okay? And we have to go through that. And for some of us older ones that are starting to get older, that we will keep pushing. And we will give you whatever it is that we have inside, however little it is, for you to know who you are. And that's our commitment to our relatives that are coming to stand at that door in this lodge. Eh? That's our commitment. That door will never be closed to Anishinaabe. And you come in here, it's not a spectator sport. I expect you to stand up, work with that tobacco. You know, help, touch your life, pick up your life when you come in here. You know, don't be the one hiding in the corner over there, you know, being shy. You know, this is who you are. This is who you are. And that's what I come to understand, that's what I come to believe. In that journey of getting to this point, there's so much there. You know, I can't even remember all the people that I walked beside, eh? But I think one of the desires I've always had is to try to be the kindest person that I could. I didn't want to carry or reflect anything of this so-called civilized society. And there are times I am a human being. I have to recognize that. My heart wasn't big enough to accommodate some people. One of the heaviest gifts to carry constantly is that kindness. And that I wasn't always able to walk with that. That I had to put it down at times in my life. And it's a heavy thing. It's a heavy thing to carry. One of the heavier gifts that we were given to carry as Anishinaabe people. And but once you recognize it, then you use two hands to pick it up. Your hands are full of that good life. There's no room there to put that alcohol or to put those drugs, to put that negativity there. Your hands are always open. You don't have time to do this, but you have time to be like this. Minataziwan, kindness. And that's what I strive to be. And I live down here now. I committed to this community that with the land-based stuff, with the kids, the hunting, and that. And like even this past fall, we had a family day camp for the first time, where moms can come with their kids, and kids who go snaring rabbits. We were sitting at camp cutting up meat. We were smoking deer meat on the racks. We made out of wood and frying up deer meat all day. Roasting ribs by the fire. And oh man, if you see our people in that setting compared to any other setting, I think you would get a good sense of what freedom is for us, and how strong and how beautiful that relationship is that we have with the earth, and how it is that we need to get back there to answer a lot of those questions that we have. What's the answer for us? Is therapy, counseling, go sit on the earth. Because there is no other place you're going to go sit where you're totally accepted the way you are. No expectations, and I can still remember, if you think about it, you're out there, you're picking berries, you're picking those medicines, you're in ceremony, you're out there hunting, gathering, you're in ceremony, because the spirit and the creation are going to look at you. Oh, look at our children. They did not forget. They did not forget on what it is that we gave them, and how it is that they live here on the earth. Powerful things if you think about it. If you want to make the connection, and I encourage our people, go back to the lodge, whatever that lodge is. All different lodges out there, Sweat Lodge, Sundance, and even a powwow trail. If that's what gives you life, if that's what helps you recognize your truth, do it. Do it. But go on that journey of self-discovery about who it is you are as an Anishinaabe. And it's like watching a flower open up and blossom. It's a beautiful thing once you recognize your truth about who you are as an Anishinaabe. And the language. I encourage you to pick up your language. Wewenego jin sit tameko Anishinaabe mun. Ego tangek jawajit tuek. Mikshiagi minigon tam jijan tagos yan. Migum so jin and sit jijan sitay negon awaki. Miwa nemenik gatabache matunum. Miwach kedin namagi bi naiko sema. Miwach o bangi agi bizindo yek. Migum saske spin hunde ka goete ke go ta ka goete. Spinks ketwan Chiganun taman gaganun tan. And I just wanted to leave it at that. And or if you have any more questions, then if I can answer them, I'll answer them. And it's been a long journey for me, and it's not over yet by far. Oh, I just love being an Anishinaabe. I just the life that we have, that we were given, the pipe, the drums, the songs, the ceremonies, the dancing, and also the discovery of the relationship that we have with creation. It is just beyond words, beyond English words, that all our answers are there, all the answers that we ever needed, that we will ever need. And we just have to, especially to the young people, bring them home. Bring them home, eh? In whatever lodge that is, bring them home. And that this life is so immense, it is beyond the limits of your thoughts and of our knowledge. It is beyond one belief, eh? It is beyond one ideology. That's how big it is. But if we are able to come together and sit with this kindness and with respect, imagine how our knowledge can meld and expand at that point, eh? And that. So it's a beautiful life. Our Mother the Earth is beautiful, and creation is beautiful. And Anishinaabe people are a beautiful people. And I think I just want to leave it at that. Say miigwech to you.